Yeah, that's what I was like thinking to myself, because I've seen like comments on some of the videos, yours and Humo's, that where people are putting, oh, we have a ceremony every year on that day, and we release balloons, and we were just laughing, thinking that, oh wow, there goes our balloons, and I'm like, really? Everybody's free that day with balloons?
Well, yeah, people set off balloons. I mean, you know what? In New York, you see everything. You can see every plane go by. You can see every Goodyear. We're very aware of our skies in New York, and balloons. You can't see them after a few hundred yards. They're gone.
And for the fact that they were, because put into perspective the time it took for you to stop and realize there was a crowd gathered looking at something. How long did you look at it before you left to go get your camcorder? How long did it take for you to get back? And how long were you there actually filming it?
Well, actually, it's funny. When I came back, when I ran home, of course, I had to go online right away and see what if anybody else was aware of this. And then I couldn't wait to get back. And when I got back, I couldn't believe I actually was surprised there were still people there. I actually said to this one guy who works at Dallas BBQ, he's like a waiter there, he witnessed the entire thing. And when I came back, it was probably about 45, 55 minutes later, he was still outside with his boss saying, "Get back in here, He's like, I can't, I have to keep looking at it. I said, wow, I can't believe you're still here. It's still happening like an hour later. So it did seem to take about an hour. A lot of people were saying, like, well, I guess I'll just figure out what it is tonight. I have to get back to work. A lot of people couldn't just stand there and stare at the sky for an hour.
I mean, for the fact that at least, the event took place for at least an hour, I don't know of any balloon that stays in the same spot and, can stay at the same altitude for an hour, because, I mean, I've released balloons before, and once they're up there, they're gone. After a few seconds...
Well, I would say the only time that there were two separate times where there was one shape that stayed in the same place, and each of those times was about 17 minutes, I'd say. Then the remaining time was when it would be sort of slowly drifting away. And I say drifting it moved very slowly. It wasn't like the wind was carrying it. So,
okay.
Yeah, it was really cool, and I'm not at liberty to say what it was. All I know is it might just be semantics, but I saw a UFO. So, if people want to think that I'm saying spaceship, fine. If they think I want to say mothership or alien vessel, fine. I just want to be on the record as saying I never said that. I said that I was looking up at the sky and saw some weird, unidentified flying objects.
Right. Also in your footage, Peter, I do notice at one point you noted that jets were flying over. Did you see any kind of black helicopters or military, scrambling in the area? No,
we all identified one jet, and we just knew it was a jet because it was flying low. We know what they sound like, and it had a tail, like a jet stream, which most commercial planes don't. Not at that height, not at that altitude. Yeah, that was one of the times that it seemed like only a few people saw it. This huge sky, and it just sort of came and went. But I noticed other commercial airlines, still crossing their usual flight path. I'm familiar with the neighborhood, so I'm familiar with the flight paths. I can see them from my living room window. So, it was pretty normal. I mean, that's the first thing I thought was, well, let's really look. Is there anything else happening in the sky right now? Helicopters, not so much. Most of the helicopters in the city are really further on the west side because they fly up and down the river. So.
Okay. Now, I don't know about any reports that came in from the morning. I'm still trying to find information out about that. There was, I'm sure you heard about online about people stating that they've seen things at night in the sky there. Do you know of anybody that saw it, or did you see anything at night there?
No. I was surprised to hear about people seeing stuff at night. I think it's causing some confusion because people are saying, I saw, you're just Googling UFO NYC October 13th and you get one in the day and one at night. And for some reason it seems like the news covered the one in the day, and the one at night is sort of just going viral.
Right. Okay.
So,
Well, what we're going to do here is do a quick recap for our listeners that we are discussing the October 13th UFO incident that happened over New York City. We do have Humo and Peter on the line, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick 5-minute break here. So hang on the line. I'm just going to mute you guys while we take a quick break. Don't hang up, and we'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
And we're back discussing the UFO incident that happened over in New York City on October 13th. And we have Humo back on the line. Humo, we have your friend on the line. What did you say her name was?
It's Astral.
Hi, Astral. Thank you for calling in. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so glad you were able to call in. So you were also another witness to the events that happened that day.
Yes.
Okay, where were you at, and what did you see?
Well, it was just a very synchronistic morning. Like Umo said, he was supposed to be in the city to do some work, and something delayed him from getting there, and I was actually with him in the morning. So he was supposed to be in the city because if he would have been able to be there when he was supposed to be there, he never would have caught the video. So anyways, he called me when he was filming to let me know what he was filming, and I immediately ran to the window because I live in Brooklyn, and I looked out the window, and even from my window in Brooklyn, I was able to see lights over the city. I have a pretty nice view of the city skyline, and often go up on the roof, and I'm able to see what goes on in the skies from there. And I did, in fact, see crafts in the sky. And no, I don't think I'd be able to see any balloons from my window in Brooklyn. And also, you know, we see balloons in the sky every day, and I don't know, I think it's the first time I've seen it make the news. It's kind of funny.
Exactly. I mean, like you said, you've lived there, and you know what balloons look like in the sky, and besides that, once they reach a certain altitude, you wouldn't be able to see them anymore.
Absolutely.
Now, Humo was telling me that both you and he had an experience in the park 2 weeks prior to this incident where I believe he said it was a fleet of spheres were seen in the sky. Did you guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, just, you know, putting it out there. We happen to see these alleged so-called UFOs all the time, actually. And I like to refer to them as lightships because we've become pretty familiar with seeing them because we do see them quite frequently. But a few weeks ago, there was one day where we saw an extensive amount of them. They just kept showing up. And it started with one, and then 2 more showed up. And they would come up in the sky. I mean, they look like stars just with the naked eye. And then they would make themselves known. And as soon as we would notice them, they would kind of start to move a little bit. And their journeys from point A to point B were extended. They would stop. Well, then, you know, this was going on for about an hour, and then all of a sudden 7 of them showed up at the same time, and they were in geometric formation, and they continued to shift their shapes and create different shapes, and we saw the 7 crafts together for about 15 minutes. They were there. Okay.
Now, when did you, because he was on the phone with you while he was filming, is that correct, Humo?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to see what he was filming? Like, were you in your apartment at the time it was happening, and could you see exactly what he was filming while he was filming it from where you were at?
I can definitely see the UN building from where I'm at. I can see the whole city from where I am. I did see lights above the city that were not airplanes, and they certainly weren't balloons. So I was seeing something. And I will say also, I know earlier we were talking about helicopters. The black helicopters do like to show up when these lights show up in the sky. I've been noticing that. And yes, it's true. There are a lot of helicopters in the city, and you can, ride them and see them by the West Side Highway. However, the black helicopters, which are unmarked and non-commercial, they do like to show up when the lightships appear. And I did see them that day, several of them.
Could you see where they were traveling and how many of them there were?
The black helicopters started emerging from Lower Manhattan, sort of, the financial district, and they started heading north towards where the sightings were taking place. And it's to my understanding that they like to show up in the sky because these black helicopters are very noisy, so it serves as kind of a distraction. Because the lightships, these beings are very advanced and they don't really make sound.
Okay. What is your opinion regarding the news there in the area that's trying to say that these were balloons either from some company giving away free balloons in Manhattan or the engagement party at the school?
I just think it's silly because, I'm always looking at the sky, and I know the difference between balloons and not balloons. And I think it's very clear, and I think people should be more willing to not just take what's fed to them from the corporate media and start questioning what they're actually seeing, because we're all gifted with intellect. And I just think that it's really ironic that all these balloon stories are making the news. I've never seen this many balloon stories in the papers, for one. And it's just silly. It's just silly.
So in regards to the lights that were seen at night over the city, did you happen to be able to see any of that, or do you know anybody that did?
Yeah, I know a lot of people that saw the lights both during the day and at night. And I hear people talking about it on the street. Like you guys were mentioning before, New Yorkers, it takes a lot to stop them, and it really takes a big thing to stop people in their tracks and look, because most people are just so busy, And I just think it's something that we should be willing to take a closer look at, rather than just listening to what Fox News has to say about it, because the Fox News reports, from my understanding, are very biased. They had not one person on their news report suggest anything besides it being balloons.
Right. So another thing that I was gonna, but you're right in regards to the Fox News reports, because the one report itself that I actually printed off the internet. The title alone is very misleading, because the title is "Kids Behind UFO Sightings Over Manhattan." That title right there is misleading as to their conclusion of the UFO sightings. And that was that's the title that came from the story about the engagement party for the teacher and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So ever since this incident, how has it been there in New York? Are people still looking up at the skies waiting for something else to happen?
Well, I certainly am. Especially because the day that all this happened, a lot of people who are in the UFO community, who are paying attention, so to speak, were sort of expecting something to happen that day because there was a NORAD official who